Well, thank you all for joining today. I'm excited. I've been excited all day. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that. My name, let me get this up here so you can see my face. My name is Sinclair, aka the Health Nerd, and I'm very happy to be joining you on a Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time, January 19th. If you are not joining us live, that's what time we're at here. But my name is Sinclair, and I am the co-founder of True Health Forever, and I am also a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And my goal is to help queens like you lose weight, because I'm gonna be honest, I've done it all. I've tried it all. I've done the pills, I've done the shakes, I've done the fasting, I've done everything. And I'm not gonna say that nothing worked, because that will be a lie. I'm gonna be honest, right? I've had varying levels of success throughout my weight loss journey. But one thing that I had in common with everything that I tried is that I always gained the weight and then some back. And it was really just perplexing to me why that kept happening. So I have finally had some sustained success, and I am wanting to share what I have learned, not only through my personal experience, but also as a functional diagnostic nutrition, FDN. I'll say that for the rest of the presentation just because that's a mouthful. FDNP, I'm going to share what I've learned about weight loss and the 5 things that every woman should know about weight loss. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to get started because we've got a lot to cover today. So the reason why I wanted to do this webinar, and specifically on the 5 things that every woman should know about weight loss, is because I'm sick and tired of hearing about the calorie deficit model, right? It's all about calories in versus calories out. That's all you got to do is, be consuming fewer calories than you're expending. And that sounds really nice. That sounds really simple. That sounds really easy. But for most of us, especially if you've joined this webinar, you know that weight loss is not that simple for many of us, especially for us women. And that is because there are so many other factors that go into someone's weight loss journey than just the calories that they are consuming. So my problem with the calorie deficit model is that it is outdated. It does not take into account other factors that help or hinder your weight loss. Now, I'm not saying that calories are not important. They are definitely a part of the weight loss journey, but they are only a part. There are so many other factors that are not talked about. And, again, the reason why I think it's important and why I wanted to do this webinar is because boiling it down to just calories in versus calories out makes those of us who have tried that and then some, and then other things as well, make us feel like there's something wrong with us, right? I know, I'll speak for myself. I have felt like there is something wrong with me because I've tried all the things that they say that you should do and it's not working, right? I don't have sustained success. And the truth is that it's not anyone's fault, right? We are just not taught all of the other things that go into successful, sustainable weight loss. So that's what I'm here to do today, is educate you all. It is not your fault. Okay, we are all just trying to live in today's society, and there are a lot of things out there that are not exactly in our favor, not working in our favor. So we're going to talk about what we can do to make sure that we are losing weight healthily and sustaining it. So I'm talking about things that are left out of the calorie deficit model. Some of those things are diet. And when I say diet, calories in versus calories out does not talk and does not address what you're eating. It is only addressing how much you're eating, right? And that is only a piece of the puzzle. You can be eating 1,200 calories of potato chips. You're probably not going to lose weight, and you're probably going to see your health decline, but that's not really covered in the calorie deficit model. What you eat, in my opinion, is more important than how much you eat. And we'll talk about that in a second. Rest or sleep, whatever you want to call it, is extremely important to weight loss, and it is not a part of the conversation. Exercise. Again, calories in versus calories out doesn't talk about the importance of exercise. All it says is you need to burn some calories. It doesn't talk about how, it doesn't talk about the best methods. And so we're going to talk about that today. Stress. If there is one thing that, in my opinion, is not covered remotely enough, Diet, rest, exercise are all critically important. But the thing that almost always gets left out of the conversation that is arguably one of the more important things is stress, because it is rampant in our society today. And it is something that we need to get good at managing, right? Reducing is great. And whatever stress you can reduce out of your life is amazing. But at the end of the day, we're not going to be able to avoid it entirely. So you really have to make sure that you have some type of stress management technique that you're practicing on a daily basis. And we'll talk about how that actually relates to weight loss. And supplements. Supplements is something that is very much a part of the conversation these days. There's fat burning teas, there's all of these fat burning skinny products, right? But truthfully, I'm going to just boil it down to a couple key supplements that you really need to be incorporating. So let's get into it. Number 1 of the 5 things every woman should know about weight loss is that what you eat is more important than how much you eat. I said it. You heard it here first. I don't know if you heard it here first, but that's something that you may not hear a lot of people talk about, but I truly believe that what you eat is more important than how much you eat. Why do I say that? Because I have not counted calories in years. And I truly believe that you can lose weight without counting calories, because if you think about, if I had to choose one, either eating the proper diet for me or eating the proper amount of calories for me, if I had to choose one, in my opinion and my experience, eating the right diet is going to get you closer to your goal, because you are eating the right foods and also avoiding the wrong foods. And when I say right and wrong, I'm not talking about generics, because I can tell you that you should eat kale, but truthfully, kale may not be a great vegetable for you to eat, right? And there are some tools you can use that I'll talk about at the end of this presentation to figure out what are going to be the right foods for you and maybe the not so right foods for you. But eating foods that your body is intolerant to can cause chronic low-grade inflammation, which contributes to metabolic chaos. And metabolic chaos is one of the hugest contributing factors to weight gain. It is basically just when your body, the food, the energy that your body consumes, it doesn't really know what to do with it. And, that chaos really comes from years and years of not treating the body, quite the way that we should. And again, it's not always out of just not wanting to do it. Sometimes we don't know how. We don't know what food to eat. We don't know how to treat our bodies. So that's kind of what I like to do, is help people figure out how to start to listen to your body, because your body will tell you exactly what it needs. You just have to listen. So this can hinder your weight loss and even cause weight gain. So I want to talk about how, let me move my face, how diet-induced inflammation causes weight gain. Yes, we got a chat. So true. I've been eating meat less and less these days, right? And for some folks, that's the answer, right? For some folks, one thing you'll notice about me is I don't necessarily recommend any one specific diet, because truthfully, there is no one diet that's going to work for everybody. You have to figure out what works for you, right? So Dom says she's been eating less meat and that's been working for her. Truthfully, that works for me too. But for some folks, they may work on a diet that consists more of meat, and that's awesome. You have to just learn to listen to your body. So that's great that you've found that, right? That's a very key piece that sometimes when we're just dealing with a lot of, the term I use, metabolic chaos, we don't really know. When you're dealing with that constant inflammation, sometimes you don't even realize what your body is telling you. Because so I will say, years ago, I used to be in the state where after every single meal, I would be on the floor with stomach cramps, because bloating and stomach pain was just normal. It literally became normal. And at that point, when it becomes normal, it's hard for you to decipher what not feeling that even feels like, if that makes sense, right? If you're always experiencing stomach pain, you don't even know what not experiencing stomach pain after a meal feels like until you've experienced it. Then you're like, oh, this is how I should have been eating the whole time. So it can be really eye-opening. So I want to talk about how diet-induced inflammation causes weight gain. Thank you for joining us today. By the way, we are just on number 1 of the 5 things that every woman should know about weight gain. And number 1 is that what you eat is more important than how much you eat. And so a little bit elaborating on that a little bit is because it causes diet-induced inflammation. And what diet-induced inflammation can do is 1, hinder leptin's functionality. Now, leptin is also known as the hunger hormone. So whenever you actually get the feeling, that little hunger pang, that like, ooh, I'm hungry, your stomach starts to growl, that's actually a hormone called leptin that is triggering that response. And leptin is also responsible for telling you when you're full, right? When okay, we've had enough, we're good, you can stop eating now. It's responsible for that as well. So when it's not functioning properly, what can happen is that you get the hunger hormone and then you never get the signal to turn it off, right? And so what that can cause, if you see in the bottom right-hand corner, is overeating, right? And that's when, I don't know if you've experienced it, I definitely have, you start eating and then you look down and you're like, wow, the whole plate's gone and I'm still hungry, right? You never get the signal that I'm good, I'm full, right? And again, sometimes you don't even realize that you don't get that signal until you start to change your diet and you start to get that signal a lot sooner. So that's something that I know I've noticed, is that now I can listen to my body a little bit more. I can hear, right, when my body is telling me, okay, you're full, you're good. And I can, even if it means leaving a little bit on the plate, which before I would have never done. Even if it means leaving a little bit on the plate, I'm okay with that because my body's full. I'm good, tapped out, I'm done. Thank you for joining us. We are on number 1 of the 5 things every woman should know about weight loss. So another reason, another cause of the diet-induced inflammation is that it increases your insulin resistance. So this is a rabbit hole I can go down, and I wanna make sure that I stay high level. But in a nutshell, when you eat carbs, your body breaks it down into glucose, right? Sugar, glucose, and that enters your bloodstream, excuse me. And insulin's job is to enter the bloodstream and pick up all the glucose. It's like, come here and bring it to the cells so that it can be used for energy. Insulin resistance is basically when insulin is not able to do its job very well. So an analogy is, let's say you're at your job and let's say you work a 9 to 5, right? You have a set time that you were supposed to be doing your job. What if your boss called you tomorrow and said, actually, we're moving to a 24-hour operation. You'll be working for 24 hours. Imagine how your productivity is going to go down. I'll be like, miss me, I'm not. Your productivity is going to go way down. So think about that. That's kind of like what insulin is doing, right? It should have set times when it is summoned to come out into the bloodstream, gather the glucose and bring it to the cells. But when we have a lot of carbs coming in, or we just have a lot of stress, which we'll talk about in a second, and we have a lot of glucose in the blood, then insulin's kind of always on duty and its efficiency starts to decrease. And that causes insulin resistance. And that can lead to fat gain. The last thing I want to cover is damaging of the intestinal lining. So our intestines is actually, right, if you think about your mouth to your butthole, hope we're all adults here, right, it's actually, right, hole to hole. So our intestinal lining is basically what protects us from the outside world. Our insides, your intestinal lining is kind of like the filter that protects you from toxins, protects you from pathogens, all of these things that really should not be entering your bloodstream and your internal body, right? And so damaging of the intestinal lining can happen. If you think about links, your intestinal lining kind of having a link like this, what can happen over time with that constant low-grade information is the links start to weaken. So as you can see, right now we have some holes. And really anything that wants to come in can come in. And that can cause leaky gut, that can cause autoimmune diseases, that can cause allergies, that can cause so many things, food sensitivities that we'll talk about later, but that can just cause a lot of ruckus in your metabolism. And that can lead to poor digestion and assimilation, okay? So that's a little bit about diet. I'm gonna get into solutions at the end, so hang tight. Number 2 on the list of 5 things every woman should know about weight loss. Rest is an often overlooked key to sustainable weight loss. You know, rest or sleep, it's not always talked about. And when your body does, sleep is when your body does so many important tasks like filing memories, digesting food, burning fat, fighting viruses, and more. And the average adult needs 7 to 9 hours. Sometimes we think we're okay with 5, but really the average adult needs 7 to 9 hours. Sometimes what can happen is if you think you need less than that, you can actually be in a chronic state of sleep deprivation. And so you're not able to get more sleep than that, but that's different than your body not needing more sleep than it's getting. So chronic poor sleep hygiene is a recipe for weight gain and declining overall health. Well, why, Sinclair? Let me tell you. So how poor sleep hygiene hinders weight loss. So one, it increases the body's desire to consume calories. So I don't know if you've ever experienced this. I actually just experienced this last week, but when you don't get a good night's sleep, you tend to get hungrier earlier in the day. And the reason why that happens is because if you think about sleep, sleep is your body's time to recharge, right? It's your time to conserve energy so that when you wake up in the morning, you have the energy you need to take on the day. And so if you're not getting that adequate sleep when you wake up, your body's like, okay, well, I didn't get the energy I needed from sleep, so I need it from somewhere. So it starts that leptin hormone, right? It starts to trigger that, like, I need some food because I need some energy. I did not sleep well. And so we need some energy. So I need you to eat something like now. Yes. So, yep, Dom experienced that. Right. So it's going to tell you like you need to eat now. And so what that can lead to is overeating, right? If you start eating earlier, that can mean eating more throughout the day, which is not always the good thing. Another reason is that you have less time for fat conversion into CO2. So what a lot of people don't know is we talk about burning fat all the time. We don't always know how we actually burn fat. I didn't know until a couple months ago, to be quite honest with you. So you do lose some through sweat and urine and things like that. But a large proportion of what you lose is actually exhaled throughout your breath, right? So fat actually converts into CO2 and you exhale that when you breathe out. And actually about a third of that happens when you're sleeping. So if you're not sleeping for the proper amount of time, right, for whatever is good for you, typically like 3 sleep cycles. For some of you, that may happen in 7 hours. It may even happen in 6. And for others, it may take 9 hours, right? That's kind of an individualized thing. But if you're not getting the proper amount of sleep, you're cutting the amount of time that your body has to actually convert the fat to CO2 and release it from your body. So you can be doing a lot of work during the day, right? You could be putting work in the gym, you could be doing all the right things, but if you're not sleeping, you're not giving yourself the proper amount of time and the space to actually burn the fat. So that's another reason why it's really important. And another way that poor sleep hygiene hinders weight loss is it increases your resting metabolic rate, or your RMR. So your resting metabolic rate is if you did nothing but sit on the couch all day, you're going to burn a certain amount of calories just by breathing, just by your heart beating, just by batting your eyelids, right? There are a certain amount of calories that you're going to burn even without you doing much effort. And so it actually, and I put increases, it actually decreases your resting metabolic rate. So you burn fewer calories by just sitting there. Okay. So when you sleep well, your body actually burns more calories throughout the day without you having to try, if that makes sense. So what that leads to is if your RMR decreases, you're actually burning fewer calories throughout the day. Got some chat. We got some chat. So informative. Yes. Thank you. I was really excited because I was like, I'm gonna drop some gems on y'all today. So hopefully you walk away learning something new. So I appreciate that. I like to learn these types of things. My nickname is the Health Nerd because there's just so much information out there that it's not always shared. So that's what I'm here to do for you, Queens, is to let you know, what is really going to help you lose weight outside of the calories in versus calories out. I'm over that model. There's so much more that we need to talk about. Okay, so let's go on to number 3. And again, we'll talk about solutions at the very end, so stick around. Number 3, this is going to be a hot topic. Not all exercise is going to lead to weight loss, all right? Despite popular belief. And the reason is that while exercise and daily movement are a pivotal piece to any weight loss journey and health journey in general, it is important to realize that exercise is still a stressor on the body. Determining the right movement for you right now is the key. And so there are actually situations where you can be working out and you can actually put yourself in a situation to where your body wants to hold on to fat. And so you may lose weight, quote unquote, but it could actually be eating away at your muscle, right? So even though the scale is going down, you're not actually losing fat, which is what most people, I don't want to make any assumptions, but that is what most people want to lose when they say they want to lose weight. Okay, so that's why it's really important for you to figure out what exercise is going to be the right for you right now. And the reason why I say right now is these things change, because the main thing that I'm talking about when I say the right exercise for you is like, where are your stress levels right now? Where are your hormone levels right now? Those determine, right? And even your menstrual cycle, where you are in your menstrual cycle can determine what type of exercise as a woman you should be doing right now. Okay, so I'm going to give a little personal anecdote in a second when we get to the stress section. But it is very important, again, to figure out for you what is going to be the best exercise. And the reason is that doing the wrong exercise can hinder your weight loss. How can it do that? By increasing your cortisol levels. So as I mentioned, exercise is still a stressor. And I know that for some people, it serves as a kind of stress release or stress management. And that, that for some people, that is true. But when you're thinking about your physiology of your body, right, it is a stressor. And the reason why I say that is because when any type of strenuous activity is going to release what's called cortisol, which is the stress hormone. Okay, so whenever your body or your mind perceives stress, cortisol is released. And again, I said body or mind. So, right, when I lift something heavy, that's your body perceiving stress. Like, okay, we need to pump up some adrenaline, right? We need to get some energy to your body so that you can lift this table, right? So that's your body perceiving stress. Your mind can also perceive stress. I have the perfect example that anybody in 2022, I almost said 2021, 2022 can relate to. You drop your phone on the face. I know you all know the heart attack that gives you, right? Nothing physically puts you in danger, but you just had a mini heart attack. Okay, can I get an amen? Yeah. Dawn can relate. Okay, so when that happens, your mind is perceiving stress, like, oh my goodness, my phone is dead, it's broken. And so yes. And so when your body or your mind perceives stress, your cortisol levels raise. It's a natural thing that happens within your body. And what that, it's actually it's a survival technique. It's meant to put you in what's called the fight or flight response, which means if you were being chased by a bear or something like that, you either need to fight, I don't recommend it, or flight. I truly don't know what the protocol is when a bear is chasing you, so please don't take any advice that I say. But your body goes into that mode naturally. And so a couple things that happen when you're put into that mode, your blood pressure increases, your blood sugar raises, and cortisol is released. And so what happens when you are acute stress, right? If you are, again, being chased by a bear and then you get to safety, your body is then going to kind of calm down. It's going to realize we're safe now. Your cortisol levels are going to come back to a normal level, and that's okay. Right? That's an acute stress event. The problem is in today's society, most of us are experiencing chronic stress, which means your body is always in that mode, right? So you are always stressed. Your cortisol levels are always raised. And what that can do is put your body in a mode where it actually is unable to lose the fat. Because when your body's in that stress state, it's in like survival mode, if you think about it. And the last thing your body wants to do in survival mode is lose the energy that it has stored for a rainy day, right? It doesn't know when its next meal is coming because it's not, again, it doesn't really care about, about things like the immune system. It doesn't care about losing fat. It doesn't care about any of that because it's concerned about surviving. Okay, so it's going to hold on to all of the energy because, again, it doesn't know when the next time a meal is going to come. It doesn't care that all that happened is that your phone screen cracked. Your mind, your brains, they're very intelligent, but it doesn't actually know the difference. Okay, so that's important to keep in mind. Another thing is that it increases insulin resistance. I just talked about that a second ago, so I won't dive too deep into that now. But again, when your body's in that stress state, it's looking for quick energy because there might be a bear chasing me. So one of the ways it gets that quick energy is by getting glucose. Your liver releases glucose into the bloodstream so that it can be used for quick energy. And as we talked about, in the other section, once you release glucose into the bloodstream, that's blood sugar. You're raising your blood sugar levels. And again, insulin is called to do its job again. And it's like, yeah, bruh, I'm chilling right now. You go ahead, do your thing, right? And so the glucose kind of just stays in your bloodstream and eventually gets converted to fat. And then another one, less scientific, but still true, is you start to get a negative attitude towards exercise when you're doing the wrong exercise for you. And what I mean there is just doing something you don't like, right? If running is not your exercise, if you hate running, then don't tell yourself that you're going to get up and run a mile every day. Don't do that because you're going to start to dread the activity that should be bringing you health and vitality. And it's also going to lead to inconsistency because how often are you actually going to do something that you hate? Especially if no one's making you, right? No one is putting a light under your butt. This would be an amazing accountability partner. But as far as I know, there's no one putting a light under your butt and saying, you got to run a mile, right? It's all just your own willpower saying, I got to get up and run a mile. So if you're choosing an activity that you really don't like, that's the wrong exercise for you because it's going to lead to inconsistency. So find something that you enjoy. Yeah, no, running is not it. I'm a fast walker as well. I like running in short sprints. I like starting out with the walk and then I'll jog for a little bit and then I'll stop because I'm good. I just like to get the heart rate up. And another cool thing is once you get the heart rate up, even if you start walking fast, it's still going to stay up. And so I'm just like, hey, mission accomplished. Yeah. And that's me. I also like dancing, right? That will burn some calories, let me tell you, and you don't even realize. Okay, so moving on. How are we doing on time? Oh, not bad. Okay, so moving on to number 4 of the 5 things every woman should know about weight loss. I talked about stress. Stress is a very important one that's never talked about. But chronic stress signals the body to hold on to fat. Okay, so when your mind or your body perceives stress, your body releases cortisol, the stress hormone. Acute raises of cortisol are normal and healthy. Your body should be able and, should release those cortisol levels if you're trying to avoid a car coming at you or when, again, you're being chased or something like that, right? You need that burst of energy. You need that burst of adrenaline to get you out of the dangerous situation. But chronic stress leads to depletion in the amount of cortisol your body has to release, okay? So I actually have a slide in a second that will kind of show what I'm talking about here. But when you're first in a stressful situation or when you're first kind of in your chronic stress, right, everything's okay because your reserves, your cortisol reserves, if you will, if you think of like the amount of cortisol your body has to release in like a bank, right? Your reserves are still there. Your bank account is still healthy. But if you keep depositing out of that bank account every single day, eventually you're going to lose some money. Okay, your bank account is going to get into the point where it's almost at overdraft. Okay, and so that's what happens to your cortisol levels when you're constantly in a stressed state, right? And so what chronic stress, it looks different for everybody, but this could be job loss, this can be a global pandemic, this can be, again, family, this can be taking care of kids, this can be taking care of a loved one or a family member, this can be just a stressful job, this can be a stressful relationship, right? Any of these things can be a chronic stress situation for someone. It really depends on no, we don't like overdraft. It really depends it really depends on you and what you perceive as stress. That's going to be different. And everybody kind of has also a different genetic potential to handle that stress. So that's another thing that's going to go into how much cortisol your body is releasing. The other thing that's really important that I definitely want to mention, especially here talking to queens, is that depleted cortisol also leads to depletion of estrogen, right? Cortisol, all of our hormones, if you think about a hormone, it's basically like a chemical messenger, right? It tells the body what to do. And so they all are interconnected. They all affect each other in one way or another. So depleted cortisol levels also lead to depleted estrogen, which can cause weight gain, right? So our hormones are kind of all over the place throughout a given month, right? Because we go through and this is for menstruating, my menstruating queens. We kind of go all over the place in a month, right? Your estrogen levels raise, and then they drop, and then they raise again every month. And so that's another thing to keep in mind. But depletion of your cortisol levels is also going to affect your estrogen levels. So I know for me, I was in a state of very, very chronic stress, and all of my hormones were depleted. And I'm actually going to show you a kind of a look at what mine looked like in a second, so you can get a feel for what I'm talking about. So where's my mouse? Okay, there we go. So I told you I wanted to kind of give you a visual representation of cortisol and what happens when your cortisol bank account starts to run out. So this is a lot of information. The main thing I want to point out and you pay attention to is the blue line. So let's say you're starting over here so on the vertical axis here, we're looking at the cortisol sum. So again, let's think about how much money you have in your cortisol bank account. So when you start out, you're in the green, you're good to go. And let's say I have a mouse, that's right. So you're over here. And you start getting a little stressed. So you're going to come down, you're going to start to make your way up this graph, and you're going to get to the point where you are at the peak of your cortisol sum, right? And so you've been stressed, and your body is releasing the most amount of cortisol that it can. Okay, so that's why the graph is at the highest level that it is here. And you actually, and a lot of times when people are in this acute distress phase, they actually don't feel terrible, because cortisol actually has an anti-inflammatory effect. It actually has a pain-killing effect, because remember, it's supposed to put you in the fight or flight mode. So if you're in pain, you're not going to be able to run away from the bear. So it has a lot of effects that kind of make you feel better, right? And sometimes even adrenaline comes into the play, right? If you think about adrenaline, you feel good when you're on adrenaline, right? So you don't always feel crappy yet, but you still are experiencing that stress, okay? Yeah, stress it's always present, but you got to manage it. Okay, so what happens when you continue down the stress with the chronic stress is that eventually your cortisol levels start to deplete, and you start to make your way down this graph here. Okay, so I'm gonna be very honest with you. Where I was, and this was, I think I did my stress and hormone panel in end of September. I was down here, all the way down here. So when I say I was depleted, I was depleted. Okay, your girl was stressed. And so what that did for me when I talked about the right exercise for you, right? So I asked my coach, I'm thinking about getting into running. And she was like, do not do that. Whatever you do, don't do that, because that is going to put more stress on your body. And as you can see, you are already stressed to the max. The last thing you want to do is put more stress on your body. So you need to stick to some walking, some low impact, maybe some elliptical, right, on the lower end of the impact exercises, so that you are not putting your body in a further stress state. Because if you do that, no matter how many calories you're burning, your body's not going to get rid of that fat, right? And you may start to tap into your muscles and things you don't want to lose. Like my booty, I don't want to lose the booty. You know what I'm saying? I'm blessed with that. I want to keep it. So that just an example of, personal, my personal anecdote there on an example of the right exercise for you. So, right, the right exercise for me in the past couple months has been walking. low impact. And every now and then I'll do some, some little like functional training, some body weight stuff. I really have not touched weights too much in the past couple of months because of where my body was at. And I have been able to lose weight in that state. So a lot of times, again, we think we have to be doing something crazy. We have to be working out an hour or two every day. That's not true. I'm here to tell you that's not true. You just have to figure out what is going to be the right exercise for you in this moment. I can help you with that. Stick around and we'll talk about it. Okay, so how chronic stress hinders weight loss. We've already talked about a few of these things, but again, it depletes your cortisol levels, right? So I won't drain that anymore. But again, that inability to lose fat is kind of the result of your depleted cortisol levels, because your body is in a state where it's like, I'm not getting rid of this fat because this is my food tomorrow and the next day if we don't have food, if we don't have food coming in. So I'm not getting rid of this fat. You're not taking this from me. It also increases your insulin resistance. So we've mentioned that a couple of times already, but one of the results of being in that high stress state is the increased blood sugar. Your body does that as a survival mechanism. But if you're in that state all the time, your insulin is going to start to just be like, you need to chill. I'm not about to get out there and grab all this glucose. You got glucose all the time. Okay. Increased cravings. That's another thing that happens. That can happen when your cortisol levels deplete and your estrogen levels deplete. That can trigger a lot of cravings, which can lead to overeating and poor dietary choices. Okay. And another thing is, again, when you're in that fight or flight mode, the logic, I know that I should eat this, but I'm going to grab this instead. It's so much easier to do that when you're in that stress state because you're worried about survival. All you want is food to come in the system, right? You're not necessarily worrying about what is going to be the best thing for you to eat. So that's why it's very important to manage your stress. Again, we'll talk about solutions in a second here. We have one more of the 5 things that every woman should know about weight loss. And so 5, I appreciate all the love in the chat. Y'all been very active, appreciate it. So number 5 is that supplements help fill nutritional gaps. And I want to stress that that's all that supplements should be doing. Supplements are not going to lose your weight for you. Supplements are not going to magically like burn fat, right? There is no, and again, I'm not coming from a judgmental place because I was this person. I did all the skinny teas. I did it all. I did the appetite suppressant. I did it, right? Yes, it works to suppress your appetite, but what else did it do? I have no idea. And neither does anybody else who's taken it, right? Those studies are not done. So it's really important, and why I want to be here and, stress the importance that finding the right whole foods based supplements to fill your nutritional gaps is all that we're looking to do. So yes, food is the primary way to provide your body with the nutrients and vitamins it needs to function. However, with processed food and the agricultural practices alive today, the average person is deficient in many of the key nutrients needed for robust health and sustainable weight loss. Okay, so for example, almost 50% of the adults in the US are deficient in magnesium. And magnesium helps regulate your glucose levels. It helps your melatonin levels, right? So melatonin is the sleep hormone. That's what actually makes you feel tired when the sun goes down, when the lights are off. Melatonin is triggered. It's saying it's time to go to sleep. That's why we are diurnal creatures, right? We're not nocturnal. We actually have, it's called the circadian rhythm, right? When the sun rises, we feel awake. And when the sun goes down, we get tired. That's actually a biological, like our biological clock, if you will. So magnesium helps keep melatonin strong, right? So that we actually feel tired and can get a good night's sleep. Melatonin also has some components in the gut, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. But some supplements, how supplements can really help your weight loss journey is, again, to fill the nutritional gaps. So processed food, there's really not a lot of nutrients in processed food. And if there are, they're usually synthesized, right? So they're rarely in processed food are you going to find natural nutrients and vitamins that come from the earth that your body recognizes and is bioavailable to your body. You're rarely going to find that in processed food.
a little background. I won't go too deep into it, but I actually came from the food and beverage industry. So I can tell you that any business in the food and beverage industry, their main priority is making money, which means all other priorities are downstream from that. And I'll tell you what they don't care about is your health. I'll tell you that straight up, right? So it's very important to keep that in mind when you're choosing the foods that you get. Processed foods have their place, right, for convenience, but you just got to be careful about which ones that you are consuming. So filling the nutritional gaps, again, food first, right? So you want to eat as many fruits and vegetables as possible because that's where you will get the bulk, and that's where you should get the bulk of your nutrients and vitamins. But if you're not getting everything, which most of us are not getting everything we need from food, so that's where the supplements come in to play. Improved digestion. That's definitely something that supplements can help you. Again, you should be consuming the best food for your body, but some supplements can also help aid that process. And improved blood sugar regulation. So, right, we talked about like magnesium, supplementing with a good magnesium or something with magnesium in it, high in magnesium is, could be a good idea to, again, help improve your blood sugar regulation. So some results of that would be more energy, proper elimination, which is definitely needed for weight loss, right? You can have all the food coming in, it needs to go somewhere. And then healthy weight loss. That's what we're here to accomplish, right? Hcg Drops. Oh no, what is that? Oh goodness, that sounds dangerous. Do share so someone else can learn from what you experienced. Did I see you said you almost died? Did you mean that literally? I hope not. Dear Lord, there are so many products out there again, and the supplement industry is very underregulated, so people can really do what they want and, kind of get away with it. You can only consume 500 calories a day. Yeah, that's dangerous. I tried it at 20. Wow. Yeah. So, and I'm not one to say that eating nothing or eating like, so I practice fasting, and I think that fasting does have its benefits in certain situations, but you still need it when you're eating food, right? You still need to make sure that you're eating the proper amount of food for you. Gained it all back. And that's what happens, right? Because we're not addressing the underlying cause of the weight gain, which is the important part of losing weight. Is we are just addressing the symptoms, right? The symptom is that you are gaining fat, right? But what is causing you to gain fat? And I have a program, which I'll talk about in a second. But let's get to some solutions, right? We've talked about a lot of problems. So I want to help you leave here with some tangible steps that you can take to improve your weight loss. So we have our 5 things that we talked about. So diet. The biggest thing that I can, kind of leave you with for diet is to keep a food journal. I know that sounds really simple, but it is one of the biggest things that kind of changed my trajectory for sure, is that keeping a food journal helps strengthen the mind-body connection. And so, right, when you eat something, you have to be aware of how that makes you feel. And until you actually make that intentional, because we have so much that we're doing, a lot of times we're eating and doing something else in the first place, right? Eating and driving, eating and working, eating and then going to do something right after. And if that's the case, you're not really able to stop and say, how does my body feel after eating that salad or sandwich or potato chips, right? Or mac and cheese, right? And really the only time we may feel it is like, oh snap, I got to go to the bathroom. What did I eat again? How does that, okay, maybe I need to stay away, right? So a food journal is a very key piece of any health journey, especially a weight loss journey, because it forces you to start to connect what you eat and how it makes you feel. And the reason why that's important is because then you can make your own decisions moving forward, right? You don't need me to tell you that you should be eating X, Y, or Z because it's the best food ever, right? If you eat your salad and you're like, wow, I have great energy right now and I'm actually full and I feel great, throw some salmon on there, like, wow, I feel full, I feel amazing. And you start to make that connection, you're probably going to eat that salad again, right? Not because I said so, not because some influencer on Instagram said that, this is the salad for fat loss, but because you ate it and you felt great afterwards. And so it's very important to just strengthen that connection. Another thing for diet is to eliminate your sensitive foods. So that's why I say keeping a food journal is number one, because you'll start to be able to easily recognize what foods make you, gassy or bloaty or cause indigestion or, whatever the symptom that may be coming afterwards. But it's important to recognize, right? Oh, that may have come from the cheese that I ate with my mac and cheese for lunch. I am lactose intolerant, right? That's me. So, right, that can come from the cheese, that can come from bread, that can come from soy. There are tools you can use, our food sensitivity tests that you can take to actually figure out what foods your body reacts negatively to. So that's definitely a route you can go. If you don't want to go that route, there are a couple of common foods that most people are sensitive to that if you, at least for a period of time, eliminate these foods or lessen, even just decreasing the amount of these foods, you're going to see an improvement, right? So that's, I'll see in the chat if anybody can guess what any of these are. I'm gonna give you like 5 seconds. Put in the chat, see if you can guess what any of the 4 most common food sensitivities are, and we'll see if anybody guesses right. Corn. Ooh, we got one already. Boom. Courtney, you were right. Corn is one of them. Gluten. Oh, and dairy. Ooh, y'all are good. Y'all are good. Yeah. So yes, corn is one of them. Dairy. 75% of the human population is lactose intolerant. Okay, so that is a huge kind of wake up call, right? It doesn't mean you never eat dairy again. If that's your prerogative, absolutely go ahead. But it just means that make wise decisions. Maybe it's not something you consume on a daily basis, right? And the good thing is we're in 2022. There are so many alternatives out there that it's easy to live a normal life, right? And go out to restaurants and things like that and ask for a dairy alternative. It's much easier in today's society than it was 20 years ago. Gluten. So when I mentioned earlier, when we were in the, I don't remember exactly what slide, but I mentioned, I think it was in the diet section, when I mentioned the intestinal lining, and if you think about the intestinal lining as having these they should have a really strong link so that only the food that needs to come in and should come in should kind of assimilate through the intestinal lining, right? But what can happen is that things like gluten can actually cause inflammation that starts to weaken these links so that you have these holes in between your intestinal lining. And what the holes will do is allow for a whole lot of particles to come in that should never come in the first place, right? So toxins, pathogens, food particles that are undigested, those can slip through into the bloodstream prematurely and cause your own immune system to react. And again, that's where, autoimmune disease, if you've heard that phrase, that's what that means. It's your own immune system attacking itself, basically. So that's one of the things that gluten can cause. So, there's a little bit of debate out there on, whether gluten is good or bad for folks. But there are folks who have celiac disease, they're actually like allergic to the gluten. But there's a lot of folks who argue that it's not good for anybody to consume. And I'm going to be honest, I have seen a lot of improvements from, limiting that from my diet, but that's my personal journey. So you won't know until you've tried it. And the last one, I'm surprised nobody guessed it. I thought this was going to be the first one someone guessed, is sugar. And to answer your question, Dom, it is gluten is a common one, but wheat can sometimes they kind of go hand in hand, but wheat can sometimes have the same inflammatory effect. But the last one is sugar. Sugar is pretty much a sensitivity to everybody. Okay. And that's just because it is so rampant in our society. It is in everything. Your pasta sauce, your salad dressings, even like your savory dressings that don't have a sweet taste, they usually will have some type of added sugar. So this is what I mean, like when I say like you have to be careful, any type of sweetened drink is going to have some added sugar. So it is in everything, and we are consuming way more than our bodies are made to consume. And so that is another thing that if you can't eliminate it, then at least just decreasing the amount of added sugar that you're eating. I'm not talking about fruits. I do not want anybody thinking that you can never eat fruits again, because fruits are a natural sugar, right? They have sugar at natural levels that your body is meant to synthesize, meant to experience, right? I'm talking about the added sugar. It's crazy amounts. And if you start to pay attention to it and you actually add up how much sugar, she said, I didn't want that truth. Yes, sugar is inflammatory for just about everybody. Okay. So again, if you wanted to cut out, 4 things, sugar, dairy, gluten, corn, and I'll give you a 5th bonus, soy is another one that, a lot of folks are sensitive to, including myself. That if you didn't want to do a food sensitivity test and you just wanted to kind of go with the general, what a lot of the general population is sensitive to, those are 4 that you could start with. Time check, we are at 5:57. I am almost done here. I have 2 more slides. They're juicy and you don't want to miss them. So stick around if you can. And then the last thing for diet is to eat whole foods. So when I say whole foods, that means the foods that come as much from nature as possible. So your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains, your nuts, seeds, and then if you're a meat eater, just make sure they're good quality meats without any of the added hormones or antibiotics. So if you eat red meat, make sure it's grass-fed. If you're eating chicken, make sure it's pasture-raised. Eggs, make sure it's pasture-raised, so that you can at least get the good stuff as much as possible. Rest. So we're talking about rest or sleep. As much as possible, get to bed by 10 p.m. And the reason why I say that is because studies show that most people get the most deep sleep from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Excuse me. An hour of sleep in that window equals 2 to 4 hours of sleep afterwards. So what I mean by that is that you could get 6 hours of sleep, but if you go to bed at 10 p.m., you'd feel way more rested than if you got 6 hours of sleep going to bed at 2 a.m. Okay, so it has to do with the circadian rhythm that I talked about earlier, right? When the sun goes down, your body triggers, like it feels that, right? The moon comes up, your melatonin levels should increase in a healthy person, right? Your melatonin levels will increase and they will make you tired. And that is kind of the signal that it's time to go to bed. This is the window where you're going to get the best sleep. So that's why I said going to bed at 10 p.m. as much as possible, if your schedule allows, is going to give you the best bang for your buck in terms of getting that good deep sleep. Implement a screen curfew. So any type of screen, phone, laptop, TV, emits a blue light. And that blue light actually hinders the body's ability to produce melatonin, which again is the sleep hormone. That's what makes you tired. So if you find yourself late at night watching the TV and you're just not tired, it actually could be that the blue light that is emitted, even if it's from across the television, it's still going to reach you across the room, it's still going to reach you. Once your skin, right, feels and registers those blue light, it is saying it's not time for bed yet. It's confused because I mentioned, right, it's thinking like, is the sun still up? What is that light? I don't really know what's going on here. It's not time to go to sleep yet. Melatonin chill, right? It's not time to come out and play yet. So that's why it's important to implement a screen curfew, or if you can't do that, at least wear some blue light glasses, because your eyes are the main thing that really register that blue light. And when your eyes register that blue light, that's what tells melatonin it's not time yet. And you want melatonin to come out and play because that's what makes you feel tired. So if you wear blue light blocking glasses, that will at least help protect your eyes from the rays that are emitted from anything that has a screen. And then keep a consistent sleep schedule. So I know it's easy to say like Monday through Friday, I'm going to go to bed at this time. And then the weekend, I'm going to stay up and watch Netflix all night. As much as possible, try to keep it consistent, because again, if you think about your biology, your body does not know that it's Saturday and Sunday. It does not care. It wants a consistent sleep schedule. It wants to know that, okay, the sun has gone down. Okay, it's been about 3 hours. It's time to go to sleep. And it wants to stick to that schedule. Moving to exercise. Exercise for your current stress levels. Again, if you are in a state where you are chronically stressed, if you've again, have a stressful job, or if you're going through some type of transition, a stressful relationship, a breakup, whatever it is, keep in mind that your chronic stress levels could be higher, which means that you don't want to do too much that's going to exacerbate that if you're trying to lose weight, because it's going to put your body in a state where wants to hold on to that fat. So if you want to lose that fat, you want to make sure that you're doing low intensity activities like walking. Walking is a great fat burning exercise. I don't know why it doesn't get a lot of love, out in social media and out in the world, but walking is a great exercise. If you are, kind of feeling good, you're not really that much stress, then do whatever your heart desires. Okay. If weightlifting is your thing, lift some weights. Hit high intensity interval training is a great weight loss and fat loss exercise. Those are, some good ones. Running's cool too. Like I said, I prefer walking, but if you love running, then run. Do whatever exercise you're actually going to get up and do every day, or even 5 days a week, or 3 days a week, which brings me to my next thing. You have to know yourself and kind of tailor your exercise to your psychology. And that is why I say under promise and over deliver. If you say I'm going to run a mile 6 days a week, you may get to the point where it's like, shoot, I'm already 3 days in and I haven't run my mile. Well, the week is shot. I might just not do anything, right? It's so easy to get into that mode. So my personal preference is under promise, over deliver. So rather than saying 6 days, maybe say 4. So that when you do get to the 6th day of running your 1 mile every single day, you've over delivered and you're feeling really good about yourself, right? But under promise, over deliver. So whatever you probably initially want to say, like I'm going to weightlift for 5 days out of the week, start with 3. Okay. And if you're just now getting into your fitness journey, 3 days is a good way to just start. Okay. So almost half of the week, maybe do that for a week, get consistent with that, and then increase your goal, right? It's much better, in my opinion, to under promise and say you're going to do something that's a smaller goal and then crush it than it is to say, I'm going to go cure world hunger and then get discouraged, right? Because that leads to inconsistency. You have to, know your psychology. Tony, what's up, Sans? So that's why I wear them. I'm trying to use the touch screen on my computer. I'm trying to be cool. Let me not. That's why I wear the blue light glasses, since I use my laptop and phone a lot. Amazon has a good deal on those. You are right. 4-pack for $20. Boom. I got mine from Amazon as well. So they don't have to be fancy, right? Just get you a pair. They're very useful. Okay, moving on to stress. Incorporate a stress management technique on a daily basis. So if you do meditation, that's awesome. If you don't know if you don't know where to start, find us a guided meditation on YouTube. That's how I started. You've got the Calm app, you've got the Headspace app, you've got Down Dog, you've got so many different apps these days that guide you through a meditation, so you don't have to just sit in silence, right? That's kind of hard to do to start out with, right? And so sometimes if you need a little bit of help, just finding a video or something that walks you through some type of meditation is great. I like to do breath work. That is my personal preferred way of meditating. And that's just a couple minutes. I say a couple minutes. I'm up to maybe 15 to 20 minutes on a good day, where I'm sitting and I'm just focusing on my breath. If you've ever heard of box breaths, they are amazing. They are some of what has been my saving grace in terms of when I mentioned my depleted cortisol levels. What's helped bring those back up is breath work and is box breaths. And that's when you inhale for a certain amount of time. Let's say 4 seconds. If you're starting off the first time, you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you exhale for 4 seconds, and then you hold for another 4 seconds. So that's where the box comes from. That's an amazing technique to trigger what's called the parasympathetic nervous system. And if you think about adrenaline, that's kind of like the gas pedal of your nervous system, right? That's what gets you going. The parasympathetic nervous system is kind of like the brakes. That's what tells your body we're good, we're calm, we're safe, you can relax, you can bring the cortisol levels down, you can bring the blood pressure down, you can bring the blood sugar down, everything is cool. So practice that. But just some type of, even if it's meditation, there's not any one thing that means that you're meditating, right? It could be painting, it could be dancing, whatever puts you in that space. It could be a walking meditation, right? Whatever just puts you in that space where you are not worried about all of the things that there is to worry about in the world, is that can be your meditation. Just make sure you are incorporated on some type of regular basis, even if it's just 3 minutes a day. That's how I started off, 3 minutes a day. And I just mentioned I'm up to 20 now, right? Because I got accustomed to it. And now I'm like, I need that space every day to just center myself. So even starting out with just 3 minutes a day, like I said, under promise, over deliver is going to make a difference. Lastly, supplements. I got to leave y'all with some good recommendations for supplements. And again, I'm not here to promote like a skinny tea or anything that's going to magically help you lose weight. Okay. But there are a couple of processes within the body that supplements can help support. So if I could give you 3, and I'm going to give you just some recommendations on supplements that I do like, but if you could also find your own, if you could support 3 systems in the body, these are the 3 that I would recommend. Support your liver, because your liver, you cannot live without your liver. It's in the name, right? So your liver is what helps you detoxify your excess hormones, the toxins in your body. It does so much. The food, everything that your body doesn't need, your liver is responsible for getting rid of, right? So your bowel movements, right? That's all your liver. So you need to support your liver. My preference, or my favorite liver supplement that I'm using right now is called the Perfect Liver Supplement by Perfect Supplements. So this is nobody's paying me, although I'm open to being paid. Perfect Supplements. Okay. Just saying, anybody know anybody, let me know. But this is a supplement that I definitely use, and it has helped me stay regular. Okay. Support your immune system. Okay. And you may think like, how does this relate to immune system? Who in the world wants to go work out and eat healthy when they're sick? Nobody, because you're not worried about that. And your body it physically does not have the energy to do any of those things, because it is trying to conserve energy to heal your body. Okay. So you have to support your immune system, because without your immune system, you got nothing. My favorite immunity supplement is called Immunity by Organifi. That is a great supplement. It's got it's a whole foods. All of these are whole foods based supplements. So they're not synthesized. They're not created in a lab. They come from the earth. And they've been lightly processed to bring it to you in a convenient way, so that you can add it to some water or drink it with some water and get the benefits. So yes, definitely check out the Immunity Supplement by Organifi, and then support your digestion. And one of my favorite things to do that is a probiotic. A probiotic is a great thing to incorporate because it adds to the good bacteria in your gut. It feeds the good bacteria in your gut, and it helps, again, you stay regular. With everybody has a microbiome. It's kind of like a fingerprint. Yours is unique just to you. And but what can happen is what's called dysbiosis, where you have your levels of good bacteria versus bad bacteria become off. And your bad bacteria levels may be higher than your good bacteria levels. And that's what can cause like gas and bloating and, just a lot of chaos in the gut. So my favorite probiotic supplement is a Pu'er tea by Peak Tea. And that's just something, it literally comes in a packet that you can pour in water and call it a day. And it has so many good benefits, but that is my favorite probiotic. Okay, we got some chats. Yogi Berry Green Tea, Slim Life Tea, and Peach Detox has changed my life. Okay. Y'all hear that? We got some recommendations. What if you are sensitive to supplement pills? Is there other alternatives? So I would say there's nothing that is in every single supplement that should make you sensitive to it. It could be, well, unless it's like the coating, maybe that's on a supplement, but there are so many different types of supplements out there. So again, right? If you don't do well in it may be that you are mainly consuming the synthesized supplements, right? The stuff that's made in a lab that your body does not even recognize that it doesn't do well on, right? But if you find a supplement that is literally some broccoli powder and some turmeric and some ginger, right? Your body's it knows those things. It's like, oh, okay, I've had this before, right? It's gonna recognize those things and it might do better on that type of supplement. But if you don't do well on like the capsule types of supplements, there are also, again, like supplements that you pour in water. So Organifi is a great company that makes those types of supplements where like they've got like a green juice and an immunity supplement, one that supports hormones, and they're all ones that you like add into water and drink. So that's another form of supplements that you can try if your body does not respond well to like the capsules. And again, it could be like the cell, I think it's called cellulose, the kind of the casing that they use to hold the supplement. Maybe that's the problem, but it also could just be the quality of the supplement itself. I heard sea moss is great. I just have to find the real organic stuff. IG be scamming. That is true. Look, you have to look into the sourcing of your supplements because again, the FDA is not regulating that like it should. So you have to make sure that whatever you're getting, that's why I really like using reputable companies. All the companies that I just named, I trust because they do a very stringent, scouting of their ingredients and where they come from. They do testing on their own products so that you can, and when I say testing, they hire other people to do the testing, right? Because that would be a little bit sketchy if they did testing of their own products, right? But they hire folks to test their products for purity, for toxins, for things like that. So you have to make sure that you are, really making sure that the companies you buy your supplements for are reputable companies. We got another question. Is there a moment where you can detox and cleanse too much? What is the average to detox? So detox, how can I say this? The word detox can mean a lot of things for a lot of people. So let me clarify, what do you mean when you say detox? Because yes, there is something where there is a time where you can do too much. And it really depends on what type of detox you're talking about. So really, if you think about the word detox, right, it just means without toxins. So it's whatever, and toxin is a loose term that can mean whatever you think it means, right? But that's why, to me, a detox should mean going without something. Or really just helping your body eliminate and do its job. There's no product that's going to detox your body for you. Your job is to put your body in the right environment so that it can detoxify itself, right? So again, that's why I say supporting your liver is a very key piece to living healthily, but especially for weight loss, because your liver is going to do the detoxing, right? So all you need to do is support your liver and it doing its job. So that's why, be a little bit wary of anything that has detox in the marketing of it, and just make sure that really pay attention to ingredients in anything you buy. I am that person that walks around the grocery store and looks at the label before I put anything in my cart, because I want to make sure I know what's going inside my body. Because you'd be surprised, even something like coconut milk, right? You see a carton, it says coconut milk, and you look at it and it's got 12 different ingredients in it. And it's like, I just want coconut milk. That's one ingredient. Why does it have all of these things in it, right? All these added things into it. And the same thing can go for supplements, right? So if something says detox, pay attention to what is in the detox and make sure those things are, you can do some research. You can reach out to someone like me who has fun researching these types of things. Like, is this something that is actually aiding my body, aiding the liver in detoxing all of the toxins that I'm bringing into my body? Because truthfully, they're going to come in even from the environment. Like the air around us is toxic without us even trying. So we're going to get those toxins in regardless. So we have to just make sure that we are eliminating what we can. Right. And things like, a sugar detox is probably a good idea for most of us because it's in everything. And so we're always consuming a lot of it. So for me,
A detox means going some amount of time without consuming something, giving your body a break from having to eliminate that from your body. So again, that could be a detox from sugar. That can be a detox from gluten. That can be a detox from sugary beverages. That can be a detox from, I mean, pretty much and meat, right? Or that's kind of like what we're doing right now. We're on a Daniel fast where we are not consuming any type of animal products. It's a detox, right? Because there's a certain level of digestion and a certain level of energy that your body has to expend to eliminate animal products. And I'm not here to talk bad about any type of diet, because we will go back to consuming animal products. I do still feel good when I consume animal products, but it is good at some point to go for a period of time where you're not consuming them. Give your body a break. Dasani water is bad. The main ingredient is salt. Things you would never know. Like, just because it says water doesn't mean that it's only water. You know, take a look at the ingredients. Okay, so we've gone through the recommendations, right? I wanted to make sure you walked away with some tangible things that you can put into practice to not only live healthily, but to lose weight. So the next thing I want to talk about, I'm really excited to share with y'all, is my brand new program I just created for queens just like you. So if you're serious about, implementing these things, it's cool to hear it. And I think a lot of times we think like, oh, great, I'm going to take this. I'm going to lose all the weight. I'm going to do it all by myself. I don't need any help. And the truth is that we all need a little bit of help. Okay. Even I, the health nerd, I needed help, right? I needed a coach to help me with my weight loss. So I have created a program implementing everything I just talked about. And really, it's a program to help identify the root cause of your weight gain, because that is the part of the weight loss journey that's never talked about. And that's also what makes it so that when you've lost the weight, you gain it all back, because you never got down to the root cause of why you were gaining it in the first place. So that is what my program is meant to do. Right. So it's a personalized weight loss program, which means, right, if each one of you watching this video joined my program, all of your protocols would look different, right? Because you're all different. You all have different microbiomes. You all have different hormone levels. You all have different stress situations. You all have different food sensitivities. You all have different everything. So each protocol is individualized to each person so that you are getting the program that is designed for you, my queen. And it's also, this is for the person who has tried to lose the weight, like me. You've done all the things, you've done the pills, you've done the shakes, you've done the, or even if you haven't, right? And maybe you've had some success and you gained it back, or maybe you have lost some weight and you've hit a plateau and you're like, I just need help losing the rest of the weight. I don't know how to lose the rest of the weight. I hear you. I am you. I've been where you are. And I created this program specifically for you. Okay. So this is the Queen to Queen personalized weight loss program. So stop counting calories, stop counting points. There's none of that involved in this program. End the cycle of trial and error. Again, you can try the keto, you can try the vegan, you can try all these different, weight loss tactics. But truthfully, it's all going to be a trial and error, because it's impossible to know what is going to work for you unless you actually take a look on the inside and run some tests. And that's what we do in my program. So again, lose weight with a program designed just for you. So let me move my, okay. So it is a 90-day program, and it's broken up into 90 days. And basically it involves functional lab testing. So, right, as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner, one of the very cool things that what makes this program different is that, again, is very personalized. It is just to you. And the reason and the way that I can tailor the program just for you is by running a series of functional lab tests. Okay. And these will really tell us what basically paint a picture of you, right? So we have the outside. We can tell like, okay, sure, I'm Sinclair and I want to lose 15 pounds, right? That's great. But there's more to the picture. All of the things we talked about today, right? How are your hormone levels? What is your stress level like, right? Are you in a state of chronic stress? Are you feeling great about life?
What are your food sensitivities? What does your body like and doesn't like to eat? We're going to talk about that. We're going to figure that out so we can tailor the program specifically for you. We're going to look at your insides. Yeah, we gonna go there. Okay. We're going to look at your intestinal lining, and we're going to look at how tight those junctions are, right? Are your junctions tight so that only the food that needs to come through comes through, or are they loose? Are they letting all these, all the homies around the block, are they all coming into your house without you letting them in? We're going to take a look and figure out where you are on the spectrum of, your intestinal lining. We're going to take a look at your metabolic wellness, your detoxification levels, right? And again, these are just some examples. We have a couple different packages available, but these are just some examples of the tests that we can run to make sure that we are giving you a program just for you so that you can get the results. And we're also trying to form a lifestyle here, right? So this is not going to be something that you implement and then you forget everything we talk about and everything that you do, because we know that that was the cause of the weight gain, right? Once we figure out like, okay, well, you're sensitive to this, so you should maybe not, consume that on a daily basis. If you go back to consuming that on a daily basis, guess what's going to happen? You're going to gain the weight back, right? So we will go through a little bit more of a stringent 90-day program to actually go through that period of detox and that period of healing. What we're going to do after that is figure out how to implement it into your lifestyle so that moving forward, you can sustain that weight loss, because that's important. I'm here for your success, right? I don't want to just give you the quick fix and what's going to help you lose 10 pounds in 10 days. And then you go out into the world and gain it all back. I have failed if that's what happens. So I want to help you create a lifestyle that is going to actually help you sustain the weight that you lose. And it is called a weight loss program, but what helps the weight loss actually happen is that, again, we're healing the gut, right? We're healing the intestinal lining. We're eliminating the foods that are causing inflammation. So not only are we reducing the outside stress, as you best believe stress is going to be something that we talked about, but we're also decreasing the amount of internal stress, which food is the main cause of internal stress, right? So we are really going to be, it's a very holistic program. We're going to be addressing diet. We're going to be addressing sleep. We're going to be addressing exercise. We're going to be addressing stress, and we're going to be addressing the right supplements for you that you should be taking to, again, supplement the food that you're already going to be eating that's going to be healthy for you, and to fill those nutritional gaps. So I want to talk about what comes as a part of the program. So again, we've talked about some of the lab tests, the functional lab tests that I use to make sure that we tailor the program for you, but it also comes with the coaching, right? That accountability. Everybody needs that accountability, that check-in to say like, this is how I'm doing. And maybe we need to course correct, or maybe you just need some help staying accountable. So it comes with the one-on-one, either monthly or bi-weekly coaching sessions, whatever. We'll tailor it to what you think you need. Individualized meal plan. So again, I'm not just going to tell you go eat keto and have fun with it, right? We're going to actually say like, okay, you're sensitive. So like for me, I found out I was sensitive to wheat. I was sensitive to soy. I was sensitive to cauliflower. Who knew? I didn't until I took the test, right? So I created a program for me that didn't include those things, right? And so there's no one diet that is going to include the food specifically that you're sensitive to, right? I also did a metabolic typing assessment. So I was able to figure out that I am a slow oxidizer, which means that my body likes carbohydrates in the form of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and those types of things, not like bread, right? Because again, I'm sensitive to wheat, so it likes carbohydrates. So I make most of my plate whenever I'm making it, or my bowl, I make it mostly carbohydrates, and that's what my body likes. And that's what helps me lose weight. So these are things that I was able to do for myself that I am here to offer to you to, again, help you really figure out the root cause and the solution to your weight loss. A custom movement plan. And I like to say movement rather than exercise, because, exercise can sometimes have a little bit of the negative connotation, like, oh, I don't want to exercise. But everybody, we all need to move. So we're just going to create a movement plan, right? And it's going to involve something that you enjoy. And it's going to be tailored to, again, what you enjoy and where your body is, where your hormones are at, where your stress levels are at right now. So for you, it may be walking like it was for me.
Or if you love lifting weights, if you're trying to really get toned, that may include a day of weight training, right? It's going to be very tailored to you. If you like dancing, it may include a dance class, right? It's going to be very tailored to you. And an accountability group. This is really the key here to putting all the pieces together, because it's easy to be ambitious, to say I'm going to do all of this and that and the other thing, right? But when you wake up, you got to have that extra motivation, right? We all need that extra motivation. And so you'll be a part of accountability group where you will say, this is my goal for the week, and we will hold you accountable. You will be in there with other queens who will have similar goals, who are trying to lose weight, so that you'll be part of a community of other folks also trying to hold themselves accountable. And together, we're going to reach our goals, okay? So if this sounds like something you're interested in, the next step is for you to book your discovery call today. Okay. And I'm going to drop the link in the chat. No, that's not what I wanted to pull up. Here we go. I'm going to drop the link in the chat so you all can, for everybody who's watching live, you all have the link to book your discovery call. If you're not watching live, fear not. Fear not. I will tell you where you can go to where you can book your discovery call. And I have a special offer for everybody who's watching, all right? Because I appreciate you all for joining the webinar today and learning about the 5 things that every woman should know about weight loss. So just as a token of my appreciation, I am giving every single one of you 10% off any package that we offer. And all you have to do is book the discovery call and use the code webinar119. So, right, that's the date of the live webinar, webinar 119. When you schedule your call, it will ask for a discount code. So if you put that in there, I know that you went to this webinar and you will get 10% of any package that we offer. Okay, so if you are not watching this live, go ahead and head to queen.com, or I'm sorry, coaching, forgot that part. queencoaching.com, and that's where you can book your discovery call. Okay, and that's when we're going to actually talk about the different packages that we offer. We're going to do a deeper dive into what your goal is, how long you've been dealing with it, so that I can recommend the right package for you. We'll talk about pricing, and we're going to get you started on this goal. So again, not only lose weight, but identify the cause of your weight gain, because that is a critical part of any weight loss journey. Okay, so definitely head to queencoaching.com. If you are on the call, I already dropped the link to where you can just book your discovery call. So definitely do that as soon as possible so you can get your 10% off. Okay. Oh, we got some things in the chat. Let me make sure there are no questions. Yes. Love the energy, Dom. Okay. Yes. The code. So you got the code. It's on the screen there. It is webinar 119. Okay, and this will be recorded. The discovery call is free to book. Yes, that is the question in the chat. This discovery call is free. Okay, so there's nothing, you're not losing anything except 30 minutes to talk to me. So why not just go ahead and learn about the program and if it's going to be right for you? Because I'm excited to again share all of the things that I've learned about weight loss, because I know how hard it is. Again, I'm there with you, right? I'm in my own journey. I have not reached my goal, but I'm well on my way, right? I'm about 15 pounds down. I've kept it off for much longer than I have in the past, and I'm still going. So, and I'm here to help you all get on the way for your journey so that you can lose weight healthily and keep it off. Okay. And you're gonna, what I've noticed, that one of the great things about this program is that, yes, I lost weight, but it's kind of like a byproduct, right? Because I'm sleeping better. I have much more energy. I'm regular. I said that part, right? That was not a thing earlier. I improved my digestion. I don't get any more like indigestion after eating. I've had improvement in every level of my health, right? I feel less stressed. I found a stress management technique that works for me. And I happen to also lose weight. So it's like, it's a win-win, right? You're getting healthy, you are healing from inside and losing weight, right? That's what causes the weight loss. If you choose a program that you have to, harm your body to lose the weight, that's not the way to go, right? That's not the way to go. You want to choose a program that's going to foster healing within the body, and that leads to weight loss, right? And I think the important part, again, is to make it sustainable. So yes, we'll come up with a plan for the 90 days that may be a little bit more stringent than you do for the rest of your life, but you've got to go through that period of healing, right? The detox. We can't heal the gut if we continue to put inflammatory foods inside of it. So we'll identify those inflammatory foods for you, and then we'll come up with a plan to eliminate those for a period of time. And then we'll figure out, okay, how do we introduce those back at the right kind of period, right? So maybe you only eat bread once a month now, right? And maybe for you, that's all your body can handle before it starts to trigger that, the inflammation and the hormone imbalance that leads to the weight gain. So we'll do a little bit of investigation there so that long term. And when I say long term, you may have to, these things change, right? Your food sensitivities can change, your stress levels may change. So we're going to figure out what's working for you for maybe the next couple years. And then you may need to reevaluate, but now you have the tools you need to do that for yourself so that you can make sure, again, your weight loss is sustainable. I've talked a lot in the past hour and a half. I appreciate y'all for sticking around. I'm here now just to answer any questions. It can be about the program. There may be some questions that I refer you to a discovery call if they're like specific questions, but feel free to ask any questions about the program or anything that we talked about before. So the diet, the recommendations, the rest, the exercise, the stress, the supplements. I'm here to answer your questions so that you can really get a feel for what you need to do to lose weight healthily. So fire him if you got him. Let's see. Good info. Thank you. Thank you. All great stuff. Appreciate it, Courtney. So excited. This was so great, ladies. Yes, it was. Thank you all. I appreciate you all for joining. I really do. And sticking around for this long. I had a feeling I was going to talk too much, and that happens. It's in the name, health nerd. I can't help it. Plus all the questions, y'all had so many good questions. I wanted to make sure I answered them because I can't leave y'all hanging. But I really appreciate y'all for sticking around and for joining me today. Okay. So again, if anybody has got any questions, thank you, Sans. It was amazing. No questions. So excited for the journey. You were made for this. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.